welcome everyone. This is Glenda Dawson and LD from Glenda's Dragon's Den. Nice to see you all. Hopefully, you're safe. You're inside. You're not in this weather in Pennsylvania that's all snowy and icy. Um, so, you can find us on the Conscious Awakening Network every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and that shows up on Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and many other streaming channels like YouTube, Spotify.
Well, if they're hearing this, haven't they already found us?
Okay. But I still like to remind them.
Oh, yeah, well.
Just in case somebody doesn't see us until later. Correct? All right. So now we really would like to welcome, and we're honored that the special guest has agreed to be our guest tonight. He is a phenomenal tarot reader. He is a phenomenal person in the paranormal field. He's an author. He's a speaker. I'll let you guys hear it more from him. Chip Reichenthal, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Glenda. Hi, Larry. I love you guys. You know, I will say that I'm actually doing pretty good. As
you should be.
Yeah, you'd think so. But I do want to give a lot of credit to Glenda and Larry both. I can say really without too much exaggeration or hyperbole that they saved my life over the past year and a half, because Glenda is a Reiki master and healer unlike any other I've worked with. And yeah, I've been in the paranormal industry for about 40 plus years, but includes things like alternative healing and psychic practice. And I've encountered some of the best healers in the world. And she put them all to shame with her healing, and Larry's help has been magnanimous. You know, I have spent a considerable amount of time away from the world, offline, if you will. To my wife has some throat cancer issues, and I thought it best if she were my entire world, you know, or if I was hers. And I found out that I have a pretty overestimating look at my own self through that time.
As you well know, no one can heal without cooperation.
Right.
So
that is true.
We are well aware that you put up a fight to bring your healing to bear.
Mm-hmm.
And Glenda's just a conduit, as pure a conduit as she may be. She can only facilitate what you empower.
Very true.
So thank you for showing up.
Well, she's still done phenomenal. Oh, you know, it's a thrill to be here. Hermit Land has had its ups and downs, you know, but not really bad. It's very difficult to stay offline.
Well, and people giving you time to work on projects.
Right.
So,
sure.
What have you got planned?
Oh, what I've got planned. Yeah. Well, I've actually got quite a few things in mind. We still have some hurdles to jump through first. She's ultimately, my beautiful wife, going to lose her voice. I'll have to remove her larynx, her vocal cords, and give her a man-made voice. So
Well, I'm sure everyone
that
will
happens first.
say their prayers and send their energy to that. And,
Thank you.
of course, nothing is more important than that. But I'm under the impression that you've got actually some projects that you're working on.
Actually, yes, I do. Some mostly with writing. I did author a book a few years ago. With Glenda had been nice enough to mention, and it's
And
called
that's Even the Dead Won't Tell You the Truth. Is that the
even
book?
even the dead won't tell you the truth. Yeah,
Right. Can we get that
it's
up on the screen, please?
kind of an interesting. I think it's really the best book that nobody's read. I can easily say that. But it actually is very, very different from normal books. The central character is a spirit medium, talks to dead people for a living. Um, and we get that central character's person perspective as a spirit medium. If you've ever talked to or met like the John Edwards or Amy Allens of the world, and wanted to know what their process is like, what's it like to see or speak with the dead. Well, it's in there, except
Or even the Glenda Dawsons.
yeah, yes. Well,
Yes.
yes. I kind of took that central character and put him in a fictional murder mystery. So even though the first person perspective of the medium is true, at least to my process, my personal heart and soul. I mean, look, you can talk to 1,000 different spirit mediums and get 1,000 different outlooks on the afterlife, because it's a lot of the work comes from our personal perspective, our biases, our beliefs, how we were raised, things of that nature. So 1,000 different mediums will ask 1,000 different questions, even if they're talking to this very same spirit over and over. So, but I didn't want to do a nonfiction book because nobody really knows who I am. It's like, what's the point of doing it? So I made it a really good murder mystery. Basically, the central character's best friend from high school has been charged with a murder, and he was never really into our central character's talking to the dead type of stuff, but they were best friends nonetheless. And this medium's best friend was like the big man on campus, the most popular kid in high school, and his girlfriend was the prettiest girl in town. And as the book starts, the pretty girl. Fast forward 30 years, the pretty girl's been murdered. The best friend is suspect number one, and in desperation, the best friend asks the medium if he can communicate with the dead victim to kind of alibi him, because he didn't do it, and so that creates a few twists and turns. And,
well, Glenda's actually had similar experiences, but we won't go on in that direction. That's available on Amazon, correct?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it is. It's the Kindle version and paperback.
Awesome.
And also through Row Publishing. It says ROWE, so it's rowpub.com, ROWEPUB.com, and Amazon. Yeah. Or you could, send me an email and some money. I'll send you a copy. I got a couple extras,
But everyone I know who's read it has enjoyed it, and I'm sure going forward, people will pick it up. But what do you have new coming out?
Well,
And I realize that you're just in the early stages of it, but what can you tell us?
yes.
Look,
Was something I never would have thought or dreamed if I, and it usually ends up that way, doesn't it? Sometimes the things you dream for, uh, and the things you get, sometimes the things you get are 1,000 times better. And I wish that on everyone listening and watching today, especially our wonderful hosts. But got a TV pilot that we're working on.
good.
Can't really talk
No,
about it too much.
I understand you can't talk about that, but is there another book in the works?
There is. There is another book. I have a sequel. 10 chapters of it anyway.
Okay.
To Even the Dead Won't Tell You the Truth. It's darker, and I'm not really known for my darkness. And for those who have no idea who I am, I've been normalist for about 42 years now. Since seeing and speaking with my best friend at the moment of his death, even though the friend was in Florida and I was in upstate New York at the time. We'll tell that one quickly.
Sure.
Yes,
That's what put me on the map, because most people that I've seen in my encounters for 4 decades, their first experience is usually a negative one. So they come into the field with fear, and fear becomes the field. And when fear is out for the entertainment networks, they're going to glorify it morbidly, and again, press the fear button over and over and over again. But I came into it from a place of love. My childhood best friend, his name was Stephen, Stephen Fuchs, actually. I think it's 42 years since. But anyway, I first moved into the house I grew up in when I was 2. And he was the next door neighbor, and he and I were like the same size, and we had the same interests really from age 2 on. We never had a major fight about anything, two major arguments, but no fights. Didn't matter who had more things or who was better at kickball or any of that stuff. We were like twins. What I was too young to realize at the time is this is my first soulmate,
Right.
But it was also my first experience with death, and I will say I'm rather lucky to have made it inches from my 21st birthday before having to face the death of a loved one or a close one for the first time in my life. I mean, 20 whole years gone by without anybody dying. It's pretty lucky. But the death I ultimately got first was someone, like family. Might as well have been family. Childhood best friend. He had got into an accident. Actually, he was the recipient of the accident. A drunk driver in a Lincoln Continental. This was 70s. Lincoln, huge car, about the size of limos or buses, huge tank of a car. Drunk driver ran a red light and hit my buddy who was on a motorcycle and forced my buddy to go into that car head first. Brain dead when first brought to the hospital, so not dead, but really no chance of any kind of life. They kept him on with respirator. So basically, he was artificially alive, as I think of it. So, and how do you deal with that as your first major loss? How do you grieve somebody who's not dead? And a couple of weeks to process that. But I selected a night. It was the eve of my birthday eve. It was 2 days away from, or a night and a half before my 21st birthday.
Mhm.
And I had a quart of Colt 45. I don't know if you remember that. I don't know if they still make it. But oh my God, that's all you need, Right. One quart, you're good for the whole night. When I was in college, which what we used to do, we used to go to these convenience stores and for $1.09, you got the perfect buzz. And then we go out to all the expensive nightclubs and we wouldn't have to drink anything other than what the cover paid for,
Right.
But yeah, I was working 2 jobs at the time, and I just really had no time to process any of it. So I really took this one night to do it, with my beer, and I went this swing set behind our house growing up. It's kind of a big lawn and everything. So it was far away from the house and kind of away from everything, like hiding in plain sight, sitting on a swing, thinking how I was going to process all of it. A couple hours went by, and there was a moment that to this day I can't explain. It was like there was some sort of energy all of a sudden on this swing next to me. And it's very hard to explain because I didn't actually physically see it, but I knew it was there. It's like, well, if you listen to radio, the announcer's in a studio somewhere. He's not right now. It's kind of like that idea, I guess. And I'm not sure if I was buzzed or not, but I asked out loud. It's someone there, something there,
Right.
and it was him. I heard him. Now he's in a hospital in Florida while I'm in upstate New York, and on a swing set at like 2 a.m, and I had all these conversations in my head, what I would say to him if I had the chance to see him, because I wasn't going to have a goodbye, really. Oh, what would I say? What would I do? And in all those conversations, his voice was coming out of my brain. So his voice was my voice speaking as him to me. So while this was him and I heard his voice and was trying to still figure out how the hell it's possible what's happening, he told me, he said he came to wish me a happy birthday. And he also came because he wanted my blessing. I'm thinking, oh, okay. Blessing? And he says, yeah. He says, I want to die. And I came for your blessing on that. It's like, why do you want to, wait a minute. What do you mean you want to die? Come on, hang in there. They'll fix you, strong survive. He's like, I'm brain dead. They can't fix me. I can't physically think. I'm lying here and there's nurses giving me baths and cleaning up after I go to, to the bathroom. And, Stephen was always this really independent kid, and he ran away from home a bunch of times, not because it was bad at home. He just wanted to make decisions on his own without his parents telling him what to do or his older brothers, He wanted to make decisions on his own. It was as simple as that. So to be in this position for him, whose biggest pride was independence, I could understand how daunting it really was, but uh, and he said, out of all the choices I have, um, the one that favors me best is death, and so I want to die, and that's why I came for your blessing. And in that moment, you know, it's like the shock wasn't there anymore. This whole what's happening. It was never scary. You know, it was just, if people see me, they're going to think I'm nuts. but that's about it.
Right.
There was a peace to it, a kind of an instant peace to it. I didn't feel afraid, but I also realized exactly the situation he was in, because he put it, he put uh, his position in my mind, so I could feel exactly the frustration he was feeling. All
Mhm.
emotions aside and everything. If you take emotions out of it, then you would think, well, yeah, he's probably better off dead. So, but it got me, and I really realized that this was kind of a finality, except that he's right here talking to me. you know, um, and so I still tried to talk him out of it. At least I gave it a couple of extra college tries, but no, he just made too much sense, and I just understood it to the point where there was, it might have been a disrespect, to not give his wish, and everybody in the world. I mean, he had a lot of friends, he had family, he had, a lot of people he could have gone to for this blessing, but he came to me. you
Right.
know Soulmates. um, so I understood it, and I almost was joyous, and telling him, yeah, you have blessing, you have my blessing full on. I said, hey, maybe you could come visit, sometime after. Yeah, I said, kind of as a joke. And he said he would try,
Mhm.
and I have seen him over the years. I saw him at my wedding. I saw him 2 days before my daughter was born. Um, and uh, throughout some peak moments of my life,
Mhm.
seeing him, good and bad, you know. Uh, and but that, uh, so anyway, um, he thanked me for the blessing. I thanked him for the birthday wish. We were very conscientious of each other's birthdays. His was January 4th. I still remember. Um, and then just like that, that energy was gone. Boom! It was just gone, and I didn't. Once it was over, I think there's maybe some adrenaline from that or something, and some beer. That Colt 45, man, boy. Um, uh, but it's like nobody told me that's what death was like. Nobody ever said that to me. Nobody in my neighborhood.
Well, in
His
truth,
parents or family,
in truth,
church,
we're not
school.
supposed to focus on what death is like. We're supposed to focus on living life. But it's understandable under those circumstances that he wanted you basically to understand. I don't know that he technically needed your blessing, but it was good that you were able to convey that to his parents, who were wrestling with whether or not to take him off the respirator and everything else.
Honestly, it took me 10 years to be able to do that. But as it turns out, and I'm glad you said it that way, because as it turns out, right after this happened, about 10 minutes later, and by then it's about 3 in the morning, spirit hour, my mother comes out of the house all the way across the lawn to this swing set where I'm sitting at. I've known my mother all my life, at this period, and she's never been awake at that hour, let alone coming out of the house. And I'm thinking, well, what the hell's going on here? And as she came out to tell me that Stephen's parents had flown all the way across the country, from upstate New York to Florida, to unplug their son. And they wanted me to be the first to know. And by saying that and judging the time that went by between everything, I could pretty easily reason that my very best friend throughout all of childhood was with me at the moment of his death. And I had to know more about that. I felt like it was a quest, because it's something that nobody really agrees on. Well, I mean, there are certain cliques that they agree on. It goes a certain way, but I mean, disagreements.
I just wanted to be clear so that you don't get any mail about being the one that facilitated his crossing, that you didn't actually make the decision for his parents.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But it almost sounds like he came to you for permission and you did something that caused him to die.
If I had that kind of power, I wouldn't be nearly this nice, I don't think.
Good to know. But I just wanted to be clear, because we've discussed this before and all that.
True, yeah.
And but going forward, I mean, don't you also have plans to do a movie? That you've been germinating for a while.
Yeah. Well, I did, but and that's still coming up. But I have to find a different way around.
Right, but nevertheless, from what I remember you telling me, that was a really good plot for the movie as well.
Yeah,
and, people that listen to you week after week, because you did run a weekly show for quite a while.
I've kind of forgotten.
Well, fortunately, we actually have proof. But
that's true.
I remember talking about this and knowing your writing and the creativity that beats within your mind. That movie also sounds like a really fantastic idea, and I'm looking forward to you finding your way around. And I got news for you. I mean, I've had people that were in the business that never really got to the point of production, and they have no idea what goes into a production. And I actually wound up showing someone I was working with clips from the production of Allegiance, and how they were changing that so much every night that the people were having trouble remembering the changes the next day on stage. So there's always nothing generally gets cast in lead and put on the screen or the tube or the stage. It's a process, and don't ever worry about the process. Just work with it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do that, but this TV project kind of skews the politics of the movie a bit away from what they were back then. So it's a political thing. It puts me in a position to just to find somebody else to greenlight, but I have to actually finish writing the screenplay proper,
right?
Before I can do this. This was a thing that was greenlit just from the plot description. And
once you get the TV show done, it'll be a lot easier to work with someone and get the movie greenlit. So, stuff tends.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But the
all good things in time. Yeah, I thank you very much, and I do agree with that. And it's not paranormally inclined, but I do have characters in there that you possess certain abilities.
Let's not
Kind
talk
of
about
for
possession, okay?
okay. It gets a lot of
Been
things
there,
done,
done that, seen
but
that, don't want any piece of it.
all right. But because my personal experience with Stephen when he died, being not scary, being almost a comfy blanket type kind of thing. Um, I never looked at everything from the aspect that most people see it in, which is fear. Um, what makes it so exciting for most people, I've found over the years, is fear. Uh, that people may complain about it, but they really want that fear. Yeah, yeah, because then they either survive it or they faced it or something. And it seems that it's always about fear. And all of my experiences as a paranormal investigator, uh, or working with other people, or talking on radio shows and everything else, it was always about, just like life, the our emotional tract has two roots, love and fear. And it's always easier for the fear side. It's easy.
Well, I mean,
Fear itself is fiction because your imagination makes it scary.
right.
It's based on something that hasn't happened
Well, it's
or may
more
have happened
intense,
before.
but I think that Glenda and I have always worked the other side of the street. And
Mm.
as many people as we've facilitated in both healing and when it was their time to transition, that's kind of what gets us excited because there's very little that can top fulfillment. And when someone is ready to transition, it's important that their life was fulfilled, and helping them make that transition is very satisfying for both of us. We've never operated out of fear, and that's what's allowed us to go into some very chaotic situations
Sure, sure.
and be able to create resolution and
Yeah,
remediation.
and to a certain extent be protected from it before you even start. Um,
Exactly.
and I don't like to use the term karma because it literally is not proper. But
Yeah,
it
most
but it
people
is
don't
a
get what
thing.
karma is.
There is no greater act of love than helping someone transition,
Yes.
especially if they're strangers to you. You know,
Mhm.
um, it this is the one part of our lives that everybody is a fears. you know, and
Mhm.
harm and death are two great needs for fear. But there is, at least from my experience and yours too, I should say you're absolutely right. Very, very loving practitioners. Um, there's so much more to it. If you look for those types of things in terms of love and the love based side of things,
Mhm.
uh, yes, and there was for me, it wasn't after seeing my buddy, but it was about 22 years later.
Mhm.
I got into this accident and it messed my spine up. And to this day, nobody can see it, but it feels, feel everything, and it hurts. Um, and there was a time after this accident where I just wanted to die so badly. I would pray for cancer. I wasn't going to take myself out. Um,
Yeah, well, we don't recommend that. That's
Wow.
never
well,
the
I
right
know that.
choice.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with you on that.
And it's important,
Uh,
particularly
but
today with suicide rates being what they are, that we
hmm,
stress whenever it comes up in this program that that's never the right choice. for a lot of reasons.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I've worked with a lot of suicides before.
Solved
After
nothing.
just a little late for that. But I do agree. I even if I wanted this pain to end so badly, I couldn't have done that to my family.
Right.
But the best advice I ever got that worked throughout all my life, any time where you even get a shred of a thought about that, wait 72 hours. That's it.
Mhm.
And even more importantly, there are places to get someone to hear you out and help you to, reconsider other alternatives. Because Chip,
especially these two here.
yeah, well, but you still have a lot of that pain, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, did you make the right choice staying with us?
Well, I'd like to think I have.
Well, I mean, look at all you've been able to do and all the people you've been able to reach and help.
Things have been magical, and even in a very trying couple of years that it seems haven't missed anyone. I don't know a single person who survived through the last couple of years by saying, "Oh, yeah, it was great." not one. Not one.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll be the first one.
Okay.
Because the past couple of years have been tremendous opportunities for love. And those of us who are based and rooted in love and empowering love and facilitating love, the opportunities of these past couple of years are fantastic. It's unfortunate that more people aren't choosing that. But, you can wallow in despair and you can wallow in what's wrong in the world, or you can do what you can to make it right. And for us, that's what we've been doing. And it's been a great couple of years for us. So there you go. Now you got your first one.
Yeah. Well, I've been pretty singularly focused on my biggest fear and facing my biggest fear in life, which is losing my wife. So I've been at least doing that. But as someone who has also done radio podcast, lots of radio, I'm more comfortable with radio than the video podcast now because I just don't feel I've aged well. But do love doing radio, or I did, I should say, and spreading the message that there is an entire love-based side to the paranormal and spirits, to UFOs, alien encounters, psychic ability, alternative healing, all these things, all these great mysteries of life that are usually looked upon through a fearful lens can be 18,000 times more amazing if you see it through a love-based filter.
And not that we wish what you're going through on anyone else, but being part of your team and facilitating your strength and your ability to work through your fear has been one of our most cherished events of the past 2 years.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
It's meant a lot to me. I'm sorry. It's just I
won't start crying. I start crying. I got mascara on.
Well, it's I couldn't have done it without your help. I can say that.
Well, fortunately, we didn't have to, decide whether or not that's accurate. But again, it was the opportunity to be part of that with you that we're about. And there's been just
Yeah.
so many opportunities for us to be there for people, and that's what we do. And so, this life is but a drop in the ocean of eternity. And so that ocean of eternity is the actuality that creates the soul's journey and the soul's evolution. And to be part of each soul becoming balanced and knowing love and working through uh, with that facilitation, you know, we get up every day to try and make that happen. And it's not all roses for us either. But
No, it's not. It's not a glamorous
but
place to
yeah,
be working. But
the fact that we have these opportunities is, Glenda started out with one room here, and now we she occupies the whole floor, and just because there are so many people that come in different ways and helping to facilitate healing, and that's what we do.
yeah,
So
and
oh
boy, you do it well.
it's just the flip side of it,
Just,
Shep.
yeah, and if anybody, well, the first time around though, what snapped me out of the whole pain thing was I started seeing and hearing dead people, but and I thought I was losing my mind. And they were strangers; I didn't know them, and some of them could materialize, kind of, and in certain ways, whether it's moving things or semi appearing, that sort of thing. But yeah, I thought I was losing my mind. But they were basically saying, you don't want to be like us. Trust us. We're all dead. You don't want to be like
and
us.
Isn't it interesting? You didn't know them, but they knew you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? Because
I never even thought about that.
when we do mediumship, or when Glenda runs the mediumship development class, we will get stragglers that don't know anyone in the room, but they heard it through the grapevine, as we say, that we can help them transition back to the Creator, and they come for that. So nobody ever thinks about that. They know you pretty well, and they know how to push your buttons if you're going to let them push your buttons. But you're right. A lot of people don't think about that.
Yeah. It's very true, and there were some time. I'd say for about 7 years, I was locked in as a spirit medium. I could do readings if asked, and that sort of thing. But there were times within that, and it ended for the same reason it began. Pain became too painful to be steady with. And people have fight or flight type of things, and I'm a big flight guy.
Whatever keeps you going, Jim.
Yeah,
that's also led you on to other things.
Right.
There's
it really
a
has
lot of reasons why doors close and doors open.
Yeah, I've been very, very charmed throughout my life, and it has been a very magical one. And even when things keep going wrong over and over and over again, eventually, the universal law of balance is one of my biggies, because it is absolute as far as what truth is. It goes, there's always a balance.
We call it reframing.
So you get
have to
5 bad things, and you get the balance is you get this one thing that's 10 times better than any 5 of those bad things were bad. So there's always a balance, but people have to look for it, and they're almost trained or programmed now to be fearful
Well,
Uh,
there's a method to that madness because it's easier to control you if you're fearful.
sure, exactly, and keep you from individuality.
And
You
keep you
know,
from
uh,
connecting and keep you from
you'll be,
socializing and keep you
yeah,
from bonding together. And
yeah,
yeah, so
yeah,
there's a definite method to that, and you can succumb
sure.
to that if you want to, but we don't subscribe to that.
I know, but when you watch the news, I misheard a commercial a couple of nights ago, and it was one of the funniest things. that it's insurance companies, and it starts with these two local news anchor looking types saying, "Okay, well, that's all the bad news. Now here's a piece of good news." And the second anchor says, "And we sure hate to have to do that," but it's not what she actually said. But it seems truthful enough. They're not telling you the news anymore. They're telling you how you should feel about the news, even locally. Um,
Mhm.
and so entertainment does the same thing, and we've had a good couple of decades worth in movies. It's more about anti-heroes now. um, there aren't fluffy feel good things. You We're starting to see more, at least I am, because I look for them. It's basically what I do for a living now. Look for fluffy feel good things to watch. um,
Well,
and
personally, I'm not a fluffer, Chip, but there is a reason why they call television programming.
that is that is true, and I mean, you get people that are fascinated by that, and then they say, "Oh, it makes sense. Okay, that's what they're doing. I get it." And then people make the jump to something much darker than that. you know. I can't get away from it, so I'll become it, or it's just uh, their fight response. If they're going to fight it, comes with a lot of anger, you know. And
Well, there's
it
a lot
just
of
seemed,
frustration, and that's understandable when people are trying to control and program you. But one of the reasons we appreciate you is even your show is kindness beyond the veil.
yeah.
So the optimism that you received at that moment right before your 21st birthday has carried through.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah,
Well, thank you.
you know, um, no, I'm fine. Thanks. No, I'm good. It's, my lovely wife saying hi, making sure the sound
Oh,
is
hi, Terry.
okay. Hi, Terry. Lots of love from everybody. Mwah.
Lots of love.
uh, see, yeah, well, we take good care of each other. But yeah,
And
it was,
that's appreciated.
there was a time not too long ago when I was doing that show, Kindness Beyond the Veil,
Mhm.
which still can be found. There's a Facebook page for it, Kindness Beyond the Veil,
Mhm.
and YouTube has some reruns. Uh, Probably easiest to find it on YouTube, although not many because it was a radio show, so most people would listen back
Right.
then. Um, but yeah, so can be found. But it was very exciting, and I got a chance to talk with I think all my heroes, save for one, and that was
Well, lucky
John.
for you, I showed up tonight.
Exactly. See, now I
No
can
ego
die.
problem here, Chip.
um, no, actually, it was just John Edward, but only because he's just too busy, and we did go to see him. You know,
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
so I did get
Well, if Muhammad won't come to
to
the mountain has
like
to go
very
to Muhammad.
well, yeah, and he's a germaphobe, so I couldn't shake his hand. This day and age. Yes, I know. We're in the Yeah, he's been very paranoid about the COVID and that stuff. Can't blame him.
No.
Nasty thing to get.
So
Uh,
I won't kiss him when I meet him.
uh, but yeah,
And if he kisses me, I get to say where.
right. But I mean, I think everybody's had a moment where a random moment in time where like you're in a store in line and somebody turns around and engages you in a conversation and it becomes a moment.
Right.
I think we've all had moments like that. Just imagine if you're doing it every day with people that are no longer alive.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you can see them, you can hear them, you can feel them, you can feel exactly what they mean or mean to say
Mm-hmm.
as they say it. Um, it opens up a whole different world. Uh, Meanwhile, we're in a day and age. I mean, my daughter went away for a year. My sister lives in California. She got a chance to go to school in LA, and she thought that would be cool as hell. We all did. So, and she comes back, and the first thing she does is her best friend that she hasn't seen in a year, and they get together, and the first thing they do is they bring their phones into her room so they can go on Facebook. They're not looking each other in the eyes and talking. They're talk about programming. I mean, they're just so geared to, you know, this was a whole day and age. Maybe it's a boomer thing, but there was always an exciting risk to eye conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talking to people directly.
Well, you're
It's
talking to
always a
someone who's
risk.
got a face for radio, Chip. So it's like, I don't
Well,
know about
likewise.
that, but yeah.
I think I'm dictionary face for radio.
Well, there you go.
Really look it up. I forgot which one, but my pictures. uh, but there is just if you imagine making a connection with people in spirit, uh, because people who don't during their daily life have to think about the tools and the strategy and the attention that it takes to be in a place where you can communicate with spirit.
Very true.
Well, you
Most
don't have
people
to
don't have
imagine it
to
because
think
Glenda
about any of
teaches
that
it
stuff.
almost every Thursday. Imagine that opportunity. And again, that's
right.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's all opportunity, but you have to do the work.
Yeah, they really do.
Like you were saying, focus. Your willingness to focus for that moment. Not bring in your laundry list of stuff you have to do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it was exciting to have an opportunity. I thought it would, at that time, I thought it was my life purpose,
Mm-hmm.
to be an anti-fear voice,
Mm-hmm.
And you've done an amazing job. And even the past couple of years working through that and showing, that you could fight and overcome and keep going, but it takes work. You're
It does.
always an inspiration, Chip. And with that, I just want to let you know we have about 5 minutes left because this is only an hour show.
Already? Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Wow, time flies. Wow.
When we're having fun, right?
Yeah, I know. Oh, wow, that was quick.
Time flies, food flies.
Jeez, I miss you both already.
Well,
we're not that far away.
That's true. Yep.
But is there anything, in the last 5 minutes that you want to share with people or let people know about or?
Yeah, I suppose. As far as what I'm doing, I'm still pretty focused on my wife. I really want to be there for her until she gets past the worst of this, and that still is yet to happen.
Of course.
Well, I'm sure it was very heartwarming for people to see her, moving around and engaging you and making sure that you're okay through all this. Because
Well,
she
that's
probably felt you getting emotional and wanted to make sure you were all right. Let's be real.
yeah. No, she's been taking care of me through all that. She's been kind of my bodyguard, I mean, just in a normal sense. So when she gets really, really sick, I still need her. It just is what it is. But being there for her, so I could demonstrate, the extent of my pure love for her is. Um, like I would feel I'd be cheating her otherwise. She's probably, really, really, really hoping that I'll go back on radio soon or something. Just,
Right, let us know.
get me away from this guy. Yeah, yeah. He won't shut up. Get me away from him. Now that, but it had felt almost as though. Love and compassion and kindness had gone out of fashion. It was no longer than the new black, and it seemed that if there would be any time, ironically, not to be a voice for the loving side of things, even in the dark places, mysteries of life. Um, if there was any time to not do it, that was probably good, because it just seemed like being kind to people or getting along with people or solving problems with integrity just went out of fashion completely. Because people have been afraid. And there's so many things we can be afraid of, and they're always pushing it in our faces.
Remember, Chip, boomers grew up with a lot of hope and a lot of love. And those are two of the most powerful things in the universe.
Yeah.
And if you can destroy that, if you can throw a wedge into that, then it's much easier to control and program and conquer. So thank you for being that beacon.
Well, thank you for having me on. This is such an honor.
Well, thank you for being had.
I'm partly able to be here because of you both, and
your willingness to accept the help that was given,
and you did the work.
That was all you. That was all you guys. That wasn't us.
Made it really easy for me to feel better. You did. I mean, in ways beyond anything I could have possibly hoped for. And thank you.
And you may know next week's guest too, Chip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's on next week?
Deb DeRoos, the author, lifelong spiritual medium, UFO and paranormal researcher. She is based in Michigan.
So I think she's involved with the Michigan Paracon quite a bit.
Right.
You know a lot of people that show up there. That's a big Paracon.
Oh, sure. And Michigan is, that's a lively one if you're going to go there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real good one.
A lot of awesome people in Michigan. That sounds exciting. I'll tune in for that.
Yes. Well, hold on.
Love to have you.
Yes. Hold on for a second. I want to thank all of our audience for being here every week. Please, if you haven't caught up to some of our previous shows, they're in YouTube. We're on YouTube. They're also on Facebook, and they're also on Roku TV at the Conscious Awakening Network. I do have my own channel there at Glenda's Magical Creations. So I do have a lot of the shows there also. So if you want to catch those and a few other things that I am a part of, I'd like to say thank you. God bless. Stay well, stay safe. See you next week. Same time.
Hang on, Chip. We'll come back to you.
Okay. Hey, love to everybody out there. I hope everybody has a great day, great week, great month, great year, great life.
Thank you, Chip. God bless you.
God bless you both and all of you. And thank you everyone for your prayers and support over all this time. We are well aware of it. It means the world to us. Thank you.